At 81 years old, Al Kooper has nothing left to prove. He has played with legends, produced history-making albums, and helped shape the sound of rock music itself. For decades, fans asked him the same question: which bands moved you the most? Al always smiled and changed the subject. But now, looking back on a lifetime in music, he finally feels ready. This is not a list made for popularity or trends. These are bands that changed his heart, his ears, and sometimes his entire direction in life. Each one connects to a memory, a late-night session, or a turning point. This story is about gratitude, influence, and love for music that never fades. As Al begins to speak, it feels less like a ranking and more like a confession. Al Kooper believes lists can be dangerous. They can simplify things that were never simple. Music to him was always emotional, personal, and messy. He didn't want to hurt friends or reduce great artists to numbers. But age brings clarity. At 81, Al understands that sharing his influences is not about comparison. It's about history. Many of the bands he loves no longer exist. Some members are gone forever. This list is his way of honoring them while he still can. He also knows younger generations are curious. They want to know where the sound came from. This is Al's answer, given honestly, without ego, and without fear. Al starts with harmony. The Everly Brothers taught him that two voices could sound like one soul. Their songs were simple, but emotionally deep. As a young musician, Al studied how their harmonies wrapped around melodies. He learned that softness could be powerful. The Everlys showed him that rock didn't always need to scream. Sometimes it could whisper and still hit harder. Their influence followed him into the studio years later, especially when arranging vocals. To Al, they were proof that beauty and heartbreak could live in the same song. That lesson stayed with him forever. Listening to the Everly Brothers changed how Al listened to music. He began focusing on spaces between notes, not just the notes themselves. He realized that restraint could create tension. This way of thinking later helped him as a producer. He learned when not to add more. Harmony became a storytelling tool. Even when Al moved into blues and rock, that early lesson remained. He credits bands like the Everlys for giving him musical discipline. They were not flashy, but they were unforgettable. That mattered more. When Al talks about groove, his voice changes. Booker T, the MGs were the definition of feel. They didn't need lyrics to speak. Their music walked, not ran. Al admired their discipline and chemistry. Every member knew when to lead and when to step back. Watching them taught him how bands function like families. You listen more than you talk. Their instrumental power influenced Al's keyboard playing deeply. He learned that a single chord, played right, could say everything. From Booker T, the MGs, Al learned that silence matters. They never overcrowded a song. Each instrument had space to breathe. This idea later shaped how Al approached production. He stopped trying to impress and started trying to feel. The band showed him that music didn't need decoration if the groove was honest. That lesson became central to his career. The Rolling Stones represented danger. They sounded like they didn't care about rules, and that excited Al. Their blues roots mixed with rebellion spoke directly to him. He admired how they respected old blues while pushing it forward. The Stones proved that attitude could be musical. You could hear confidence. Al loved their rawness, especially in the early years. They weren't perfect, and that was the point. What Al respected most about the Stones was their controlled chaos. Behind the wild image was deep knowledge of blues tradition. They knew exactly what they were breaking. This balance inspired Al to take risks in his own work. The Stones taught him that imperfection could feel more human than polish. For Al Kooper, the Beatles were impossible to ignore. They changed everything. Songwriting, studio work, image, and ambition all shifted because of them. Al admired their curiosity. They were never satisfied. Each album was a question. What else can we do? That mindset deeply influenced him. The Beatles proved that growth was essential. The Beatles taught Al that artists must evolve or fade. Watching them move from pop to experimentation gave him courage. It showed him that fans could grow with you. This lesson stayed with him throughout his career. This one is personal. Al was there. He lived it. Dylan going electric was not just music. It was a cultural earthquake. Al admired the bravery. The band behind Dylan helped rewrite what folk could be. It was fearless and misunderstood. Al respected that deeply. Being part of that moment taught Al about artistic courage. Sometimes you must disappoint people to stay honest. That lesson shaped his entire philosophy. The band felt like history talking. Their music sounded old and new at the same time. Al loved their storytelling. Songs felt lived in, like memories you inherited. They respected tradition without copying it. The band taught Al that music could feel like shared memory. You didn't need to understand everything, you just needed to feel it. Cream showed Al what musicianship could become when ego and talent collided. They pushed each other to extremes. It was dangerous, but exciting. Al loved their ambition. Cream taught Al that tension can be creative. Not all conflict is bad. Sometimes it produces brilliance. This band was a bridge. Traditional blues met modern rock. Al respected their role in educating a generation. They were teachers without preaching. The Blues Breakers reminded Al that innovation means nothing without respect for origins. This choice surprises no one. It was personal. It was home. Al believed in the idea behind the band. Jazz, rock, soul, all together. It was risky. Even when things didn't end perfectly, the vision mattered. Al still believes in what the band stood for. Al pauses here. His favorite band isn't a band, it's the blues itself. Everything came from it. Every sound, every emotion. The blues taught Al honesty. You couldn't fake it. It was raw truth in sound. For Al, the blues wasn't entertainment. It was survival. That's why it mattered most. At 81, Al sees music as a teacher. Every band gave him something. Al doesn't regret the paths he took. Even mistakes taught him. Fame came and went. Music stayed. Al believes listening is more important than playing. Learn history. Respect roots. Be brave. This list isn't final. Feelings change. Music lives. Some songs never stop playing inside you. Music keeps Al young. Curiosity keeps him alive. Many voices are gone, but their sound remains. Al now values silence more than ever. Once music is released, it belongs to listeners. Al feels thankful, not proud, because time matters, stories matter. It never ends, it only changes voices. Discovery, new sounds, old feelings. Play from truth. Everything else fades. At 81, Al Kooper doesn't look back with sadness. He looks back with love. Music gave him a life, a voice, and a reason. And that, to him, is everything.